my Alabama shirt on today.
Roll Tide roll.
Roll Tide. I'm under my Alabama blanket and read my newspaper and I got my coffee. And I'm getting all
fired up this morning.
Fired up. Taxes are going up. January 1st taxes. And one of the things that's going up is the Triangle Expressway. And we use it.
Well, I hooked this up to Quick Pass. And Don sort of started looking the other direction.
Right. I just take a chill pill. However, we had a meetup at the Cary Supercharger before it was open. It was sort of like we thought it was going to be open, and so we met up at the Cary Supercharger, but it wasn't really open that day. Okay. One of the people who showed up was a very knowledgeable gentleman who worked for the NC Triangle Expressway.
The Turnpike.
The Turnpike. And we talked about it, and they Triangle Expressway has some big plans to open fast charging along the Triangle Expressway because they've got the ridership on the Triangle Expressway has so far exceeded their plans. They have raised way more money than they ever thought they would, that they can't find enough ways to spend the money. So this paper doesn't point out anything about how much revenue it generates, how much revenue it needs to operate. Doesn't talk about anything like that. This is just a fluff piece, although it did tell us that don't worry, every January 1st between now and 2051 your rates on the expressway will go up. They've already got that carved in concrete. And so I'm a little perturbed. If that gentleman was sincere, and I believe he was, I think that the newspaper did us a disservice. They should have dug a little deeper and found out if that fee increase, because I got it. You do a plan, you project it, but the expressway's been open 10 years. It's okay to go back and reevaluate and see if expectations or have met the plan, how things are working. And
are you tracking to the line?
Are you tracking to the line? Thank you very much. So I got a feeling they're way over the line. They don't really need all this money. And you know what happens when politicians and people get a hold of money that they don't really deserve? You know what happens with that? It gets wasted. It goes nowhere. I suspect there won't be a fast charger anywhere along NC Triangle for 5 years. And if it is, it will probably be a crappy one put in by the Triangle Expressway people. I'm doubtful that
the money that we're putting in is going to directly come back and help us.
I would like to, a little bit more of let's dig a little deeper and see, because now granted, there's a big deal coming up. They're expanding it. In fact, it's going to pass not super far from where we are right here. They're going to complete it. But there will be fees on that one also, and tolls and all that other.
To pay for that section.
To pay for that. So, I totally get it. So, I don't think you should take this one over here take all that money and build the new one, because that's what they did with the one in North Raleigh. That one's free. And now, to come down South and Western Way, they make us pay, but the one up North Raleigh, that one's free. And so I think that they should have made it all tollway. I mean, let's just piss everybody off. I mean, if you're going to do it, there's a lot more votes up in North Wake County than down in South Wake County, but that's changing. So we'll see.
Well, to be clear, Don says for us to take it from here to RTP, which is near where Tesla is going to cost us 11 more cents.
Yeah.
And that's the entire distance from the southern leg to the northern leg where the tolls booths are put up.
For 17 miles, we take it the entire length, 17.4 miles. It costs will now cost $3.48 with the Quick Pass, which is basically a 30% discount.
Right. When we take it 3 times a month, let's say.
Well, it ebbs and flows.
It ebbs and flows. I would say on average is 3 times a month.
Right, that's right.
Yep.
No more than 4 times a month on average. That's right.
Don's starting the new year just like he ended last year, the old year. He's going for his run. Yeah, the Alabama game has already started, but he's DVRing it, and he never watches commercials. So he's going to get his run in and maybe tinker with the project, and then we'll meet back up and watch some football. Always watching out for my kitties, making sure they're safe. That's Gray. She stretching her legs from a long afternoon nap. I know Alabama didn't make it to the national championship this year, but I still want to show my support today. So I'm in Ruby, I'm headed to town. I'm just going to drive around and play Pokemon Go. If I don't get to drive the car and feel the sun on my face for at least a half an hour a day, my day isn't complete. So there are very few times out of the year that I actually don't drive at least one of the vehicles, and really that I don't drive Ruby, or that Don drives Ruby and I'm in the passenger seat. I'm sure if we went and looked for 2019, it's got to be less than 10 days total that I did not set foot in a vehicle, maybe even less than 5. So I'm going to go do my drive around Fuquay and check on the state of my town. And Don is on his run. I may run into him over at South Park. We'll see. And he was going to do a dry run of hooking up the backup camera for the GMC Envoy. In other words, he's going to put everything together in the house and power it and make sure it works before he starts about maybe tomorrow actually putting it on the GMC. I just saw 2 runners enter the trail to go over the South Park there, and of course that family is there on their bikes. I'm not sure exactly the outside temperature, but Ruby right now says 56. Of course, I just pulled her out of the garage. And it's sunny and it's nice, and it's gonna rain tomorrow, like 70% chance of rain. So if you want to enjoy the day, today's the day to do it. There's Donnie.
Hey there, cutie.
Hey, Donnie. I'm surprised there aren't any families over here by the old library and the museum complex, you know, on the playground or over at the pavilion or doing any of the other things you can do in this nice spot in downtown Fuquay. Because again, can you say gorgeous? So what the heck are you doing?
I am making a new box. My box fell apart.
Your box for what?
A piece of test equipment. My battery tester.
Okay. That looks like an industrious project to me.
Well, it's, you know, I'm outside. It's a pretty day.
Yeah, a lot of people at the park today.
Yeah, I must have said Happy New Year to, I'm not exaggerating, 25 people.
Yeah. So I see what he means now. He had this old box here that A, probably wasn't heavy enough cardboard for your battery tester.
Battery tester.
And B, got wet.
Got wet.
And so he unfolded the box, traced it on the cardboard, and cut it out with the box cutter.
That's right.
And then you're gonna
I'm gonna
glue it,
try.
tape it, staple it.
Yes, all the above.
I've got confidence in him. He's worried that it might not turn out, and I'll embarrass him.
Yeah.
But I'm not worried.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you have a $40 piece of a test equipment, you spend 3 or 4 hours building a box for it. I mean, you know, let's be productive.
It better not take 3 or 4 hours. Yeah. There's my buddy. Where were you hiding down the driveway? Hi, bud. Hi. Well, that's pretty cool, Donnie.
Yeah, made me a new box.
It looks like it turned out great.
It turned out okay.
Did you want to let me know that you had that talent?
No.
I think it just gave him a chance to use some of his tools.
So,
wow.
So, this is partially why I wanted to save it, is that it's got these...
styrofoam insert.
Right. And I hope I didn't hot glue them in here. I didn't mean to. So, okay.
Well, I like it. You've recycled an Amazon box. You got to use your tools. You've made it so your equipment stays protected.
That's right.
And it looks like it turned out perfect to me, considering you never quite exactly did that before. Although Don does have a history of building boxes to mail things to his brother.
That's right. Custom boxes. I do custom boxes. That's right.
Yep. Looks good.
Yeah.
Way cool.
Pretty good. Probably should have made it, you know, the cardboard that it was really thin cardboard.
And this
This
is
is
a little
thicker.
thicker. So it's the clearance is just
A few more millimeters would have.
well, I could have you know stretched it out a little bit more, but you know.
Well, I'm impressed. Very impressed. So if you
Only
want,
took an hour.
but it was pretty outside, and you
Yeah,
were
that's
enjoying the outside, being outside in the wintertime
That's
when
right.
it was that pretty.
And I made it a little better. You know, before it was just folded. You know, this is one of those things. This one goes in, and that one goes in last.
Really uneasy to come apart.
Right, but but I've hot glued everything now, so that this bottom will not come undone. And I learned a little bit more is that you need to make sure that your box doesn't have a seam here, you know, where the flaps on the old box that was already cut out. So it would have been better if I'd had a nice smooth uncut piece of cardboard.
Plywood? No.
Yeah,
Cardboard. I got you, Donnie.
Cardboard would have
I
been
got
better,
you.
and that would have made it a little bit better. But anyway,
Well, like I said, I'm impressed.
thank you, sweetheart. You're so sweet.
I love you too. So, Don wanted to make sure the backup camera worked. He understood how it worked. All that good stuff before he started installing it.
Right.
And we were missing a part, and AutoVox sent it to us. Sent it to us really quick. No hassle or nothing. And unfortunately, though, Don's not able to get any signal from the camera to the mirror through the transmitter or to the monitor. And he's using an old Wii
Right, just
that has a similar cabling
video output. Yeah.
video output to test it. So the Wii can go to the backup camera. Can you show that?
Yeah, sure. So I gotta find the little transmitter wire, this thing, and then find the Wii. So if because this I don't have a female. I actually have one. I just don't know where it is.
Yeah, you just hold them together right now.
And there's the Wii.
And there's the Wii on the backup camera.
Yeah. So the transmitter and the mirror are fine. It's either
The camera
the camera or this little breakout
adapter
box that the camera plugs into, and I've plugged it and unplugged it a half a dozen times. Either that or either the camera or the little adapter box, but I'd probably say the camera.
Right. Well, we'll email her back.
Yeah.
We created a video just for her, and hopefully she'll send us a new camera.
Right.
Otherwise, we'll be processing a return.
Yeah. So this is why I tested in the living room with my battery and hook it up here, because let me tell you, if I'd have torn into the GMC and ripped it all apart,
The tail light and stuff.
the lift gate, all that stuff, and then found out it didn't work, I mean, I'm not thrilled right now, but I would be considerably less thrilled in that scenario.
Since it's January 1st, 2020, I wanted to take a minute and review a few things that have to do with Ruby from 2019. Usually at the end of the year, we take a few minutes to share a few numbers with you. Same on her birthday in June, which is Ruby's calendar year for when she was delivered to us. We'd like to share a few numbers. So I thought today I'd try a slightly different format and come into Teslafy and just walk you through a few things. So all I've done at this point is log in, and it's showing me today's calendar. The only problem is that I don't see any drives for today. So let me go in. And let's first off make sure we see drives for yesterday, which would have been obviously December. Or just say previous month. And we do most certainly have drives from yesterday. So the way you see the expanded view is you click on the calendar number in the upper right hand corner. You're seeing just a summary there. but the number will take you to the detail of all the drives and charges and other things that happened that day. So as you know, yesterday we went to the track, and from our house up to the track and then back to our house. The farthest away, otherwise the morning, is at the bottom of the list. So you can see we headed out at about 9:04 a.m. And went on from there as far as getting up to the track, first through the Rocky Mount Supercharger, and then actually to NC Car, which I'm a little surprised we don't have a destination for that put in. Come on now, Marianne and Don, let's get that working for us here. And we can come in and put NC Car, and we can at least look at the icons. You can put in your own picture. I don't know. I think I like steering because we race when we're at the track. We can always come back and change it. Except for I accidentally ended out of it instead of saving it. So NC Car, and trying to see, since Ruby is parked over by the track, we really need to make this bigger so that it counts for the track area. I'm not so much worried about it counting for her being on the track, but definitely counting for her being at the bathroom building and, down at the track parking area. But yeah, we probably should make it a little bit bigger because she could be parked pretty much anywhere in that area. Maybe drag the circle. I think we can do that too. I said I want to drag the circle. There we go. Yeah, that should be perfect. So here's our little building and the gate and the whole track area and the spectator area. So we're good. And then, like I said, I think I'll stick with the little steering wheel for our icon for now. And you have to actually click submit. And I do that. All right. So right away, you can close this window now. Real time, it will show up NC Car with the steering wheel, and forevermore, you can click on it and it will give you all of the detail again, like what was the address if for some reason I didn't remember what that was, but that's more meaningful to me. So anyway, we see stuff from yesterday. The problem that I wanted to do was if I come back here to the calendar and I go to the next month and I go to Wednesday the 1st, we all know I just came back from a drive with Ruby, and as of right now, there's no driving data for today. So I'm a little perplexed. I'll have to ask Dawn about that. I certainly would not have wanted to have lost today's drive, but it's possible something's going on with it being the new year. I don't know. But anyway, what I wanted to do was I wanted to go, well, first let's look at this software tracker. Some of you have probably heard about it before, but maybe you don't have TeslaFi, or because either you've chosen not to use it on your Tesla, or because you don't have a Tesla, you're just interested in learning more about Tesla features. And it is showing that the latest cars that have TeslaFi installed, the latest software version is now 2019.40.50.7. And we're still back here on 40.2.5. Okay, that is where Ruby is. But if we scroll down here, we can see there's quite a bit of adoption, over 1,200 cars that have put on the very latest 40.50.7. And it also tells you Autopilot 3 cars. 51% of those that have TeslaFi have the 40.50.7 on. There's still quite a good percentage that are back at 40.50.1. So they got the Christmas update, but they didn't put on the bug fixes, I guess, associated with it. 2.5 cars, like our friend Casey Green and his Model X, although now upgraded to 3.0, hardware chip would be possibly in here, or maybe he's falling in up here now. And then here's where Ruby is. So you can see that only 2% of cars that have TeslaFi installed and then of Autopilot 2, like Ruby does, actually have the update. All of the rest of us pretty much here are back on 40.2.1 or 40.2.5. Okay, almost all of them. So I would guess these are early adapter folks that are up here. It's less than 5%. So anyway, whenever I talk about monitoring what's going on in the fleet, that's where I'm doing that. But I wanted to look at specifically Ruby software updates. And if we were to come in here and scroll down, we can see that 2019, the first one that we got was in February. So I don't think this one does not let me put in search criteria. I can't shorten this list, but I can certainly come down here and count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. There's something like 27 updates in 2019. So that's over more than 2 a month. So we were certainly pretty busy putting on updates, either because Tesla was rolling out new software or because we had the advanced function set that says we want to get everything as soon as it's out there, or because Tesla rolled out some stuff and then they rolled out some bug fixes. You know, when you see I went from 12.1 to 12.2 to 12.3 to 12.7 here, that was obviously refinement bug fixes on the existing stuff that was out there. So what else did I want to talk about? That's a lot of software updates. That's more than the prior 2 years, I think. I mean, I know it was more than we said for the prior 2 year-end reviews. Let's go back to charges a little bit and look at the charge summary for Ruby. So here I can put a starting date. So I am going to pick 2019 01 01, and the ending date being 2019 12/31. I could use the calendar, but I just typed it in and do a search. So it's going to show me all of this charging for just 2019, not for life. So we will see right away that 89% of the charging that we did in 2019 was done at home, almost all. That may be that we charged a little bit more on the road this year than we have in prior years. I'm going to say somewhere between 3 and 5% more charging on the road. But still, when we tell people we almost always charge at home, obviously that's true. 350 home charges, 365 days in a year. Very few times we would plug in at home and then in the same day plug in again. Our average charge time is 4 hours and 57 minutes. That's kind of going to tie into the fact that on weekdays, on school days, I drive about 110 miles today, and it takes, what do we get back, like 25 miles an hour, something like that. So, you know, you can kind of get a feel for where that comes from. But we charged up at the track 11 times, and those are not 11 days, but when we were up there, like for the race event in March and the race event in October, where we plugged in between being out on the track, so our state of charge would be as high as possible when we were out there. And you can see it's 11 charges, but it's only for an hour and 4 minutes. We appreciate the free juice up there, guys. When we go visit Kyle, Ben, Alyssa over at Out of Spec Motoring, they usually want to plug us in, want to give us some free juice, want to, you know, that's kind of the thing you do as a courtesy to your electric car friends when they show up for dinner or to chat, is plug them in if you can. So we got a little bit of juice at their house. The Tesla Service Center, when Ruby was up there for her little front end repair, and trying to remember what else she was up there. Oh, those upper control arms. I think they charged her on both occasions. And I could click here on the number, which maybe I'll do in a minute, and give me more detail. River Street in Lockhart, South Carolina. That's when we went with Andy to look at the dam down there, the hydroelectric plant. We were plugged in during that visit. And we also went and visited Ben over at Auto Park Jaguar, and we were plugged in over at Jaguar for a while. So that's the sum of our charging away from the house this year. AC charging though, not supercharger charging. The supercharging is down here. And we did 40 charges at 12 locations. Again, if we plugged in, for example, down in Charlotte, and when we went to the Speedway and we weren't getting as much charge as we wanted to get, we would move stalls. That counts as 2 charges, even though it was really only done on one day. Yeah, I don't exactly know why it called that. I guess this is put in the new Cary supercharger, although it's saying it's Morrisville there, I think is Mattress Firm. Usually what Donna and I do, and I didn't do this in advance, is we come in here and we figure this out and we change these to the Tesla supercharger with the right, the location we would all call it by. So I probably will come back here when I'm done with the video, and I will certainly update these new chargers that we went to this year that we had not gone to previously, and made sure that they showed up right. So this one here in South Hill, Virginia definitely needs the Tesla supercharger icon. And, we know we went up there to the Amazon tour this year that we stopped in South Hill and Chester and charged that day. Again, I think this is officially the new quote unquote Cary supercharger. We went up to Mount Airy and visited the Andy Griffith Museum. And we were in Asheville, obviously, this year for the BRP Tesla Drive. So, but I'll come back in and I'll pretty that up. A little bit more on the road travel and charging for this year. If we want to go to our drives, I think this is, I want to go back to the lifetime map, but I want to look at the drives. I've clicked on drive summary first. And you can see here the top 10 destinations. It does not allow me to put in a date here, but home, the school, Taekwondo, Guardian Angel Fuquay, one of my Pokemon Go locations, Walmart. You'll find that there's 2 different places I park in Walmart, and I think right now it's that circle that I showed you a while ago is not big enough. So I was at Walmart almost 200 times this year in Fuquay. Whole Foods Cary, South Park, which is also Pokemon Go, and the library, which is probably mostly for Pokemon Go. So all the places I talk about in my video, that matches up with the top destinations, top 10 destinations of all time. It also put in our longest drives. Again, all of these seem to be for 2019. Greensboro, Hickory. This is when we were for the BRP Tesla Drive, home. Yadkinville, North Carolina. Home from, the scenic overlook here. So anyway, these were all the times we were on the road. Several of them were from the BRP Tesla Drive. A few of them look like for when we went up to Mount Airy, or also down to South Carolina. And that was exactly what I would have expected, to have seen. And I was going to do the lifetime map because we are very proud year to year when we talk up in coming June, but also for the year 2019. I have a helper here beside me now. I have kitty cat help. So draw on the lifetime map. Yes, it's just waiting. There is a lot. I would say there is some real number crunching that has to go on in order for TeslaFi to be able to build this map. But it's going to show that for the first time, Ruby went from out of North Carolina. And not only did she go to Virginia, but she went to South Carolina. That was the Amazon tour. And then when we went down to Lockhart Dam. And so we have spread our wings a little bit more in the past year. And you can see this is where Amazon was. And this down here is basically where the dam was in South Carolina. The darker lines here mean that is where we are driving all the time. So we've been, you know, over to the glass station, over to the Rocky Mount Supercharger, up to the track, Greensboro, then Mount Airy, Hickory, down to Charlotte. We've done those routes over and over, so they're getting dark. But like, we've only been down to the power plant and Lockhart once. We've only been up to Amazon once. This little drive we did on the Blue Ridge Parkway, this small stretch, and we were up in Mount Airy. You know, some of these places with the fainter drawing, we've only been to one time or two times. So it's really cool how it keeps this map for us. But I do not have the ability, again, I would like it to put in just the date so I could show you lifetime versus what we did in 2019. But we definitely spread our wings more in 2019. So I think that's all I wanted to share. We could run the battery report. We know that at least as far as the software is concerned, it's showing overall miles when we are at 100% less than we were when we originally bought the car. We're not too concerned about it, nor do we necessarily think that it represents an actual drop in capacity versus a software change in how they show us what we've got. But it showed us originally being at 295 and now being somewhere around 276. So on paper, that looks like a 19-mile loss. I don't know if that's really what it is. It's certainly still plenty for us, and unless it were to drop significantly again, Don and I are not spending too much time thinking about it. You'll notice this location here, which was from August of 2019. That is when it really seemed to drop. This was also associated with the time that they made the changes to the supercharging speed. So I don't know exactly. That's sort of why Don and I guess, are suspect about it being a software issue versus a real battery issue. When Don was looking at the ODB2 output yesterday, he was pleased to see that the battery appears to be well balanced. He got that from those numbers. We'll probably talk about that again sometime in the next week. We'll do a little bit more concentrated effort at looking at that output from the ODB2 device to scan my Tesla than we did yesterday, which was basically just an introduction that we had it installed. So like I said, I think that's what I wanted to show, and hopefully you enjoyed. We'll call that a mid-year 6-month update, and we'll be back in June of 2020 with Ruby's 3-year birthday review. This Teslafy chart shows that Ruby is very efficient, over 90% efficient, when the outside temperature is between 50 degrees Fahrenheit and 90 degrees Fahrenheit.
So we've sit down and crunched some numbers with our electricity bill and Teslafy to see how much energy we're paying each month to charge Ruby. As you can see, the average bill for 2018 as compared to 2019, the average has went up $3 from $224.90 to $227.20. The time of use savings also went down slightly from $39.44 savings average per month in 2018 to $37.47 average in 2019. The cost per day is just slightly more in 2019. We're spending an average of $7.48 per day. Now that $7.48 per day, that's everything. That's our hot water, our lights, air conditioning, our heat. We're a 100% electric home, and of course, obviously, all the energy that goes into Ruby. So we use on average 2,305 kilowatt hours last year as compared to 2,454 in 2018. I don't really have a great feel for it. You know, that's the difference between 2.3 megawatts and 2.4 megawatts. So we, you know, basically it's 100 kilowatt hours difference between the two years. But we basically used less energy in 2019 than we did in 2018. But our bill went up slightly, and that's because we used to pay 6 cents a kilowatt hour off peak, and now we're paying just over 7 cents. So that extra penny made up for any savings in kilowatt hours reduction. So here's another chart that we created that shows the energy usage by each month in 2019, the kilowatt hours. The black line, the top line, is our total monthly kilowatt hours that we were billed for on our Duke Progress energy bill. And then it's broken down into, the blue line is the off-peak energy. So you can see of the total kilowatt hours that we use each month, the vast majority of those kilowatt hours is off-peak. The peak and shoulder are the yellow and the red lines down at the bottom. And as you can see, very little of our energy is used off-peak. But excuse me, on peak and on our shoulder time. But we always charge Ruby off peak. And as you can see, she makes up well over half of our off peak energy usage. And the rest of that off peak energy usages are when we wash dishes, we run the washer, the dryer, and you know, your normal high energy demand things at home. We basically try not to ever run the dryer or anything during shoulder and or peak. And then here's a chart showing the miles we drive Ruby each month. And as you can see, we generally drive well over 2,000 miles, probably averaging close to 2,500 miles per month. You will notice that the energy consumption is pretty consistent through those months also. We basically use 1,000 kilowatt hours per month just to charge the car. But if you notice November, you'll notice that we used 1,175 kilowatt hours, but we only show 1,273 miles. That's because that's when Ruby was up at the service center. So she was not being driven. She was up there for almost 2 weeks. And but we had a loaner car, a Model S, and we continued to drive it and charge it. So basically, I did not record the miles that we drove that loaner, but we did capture the energy usage that we used to charge her. We basically charged her just like we would have Ruby. So that's why the energy usage kilowatt hours is so consistent, but the mileage on November does not add up. Another thing to notice is, like in September, you notice we used 1,063 kilowatt hours to charge Ruby, yet we drove 3,194 miles, which was considerably more. That's because we supercharged a lot that month. We went up to the Blue Ridge Parkway for the Tesla event up there. So we drove quite a few extra miles, but those miles were all supercharged. So it really doesn't work well if you're trying to figure out how much the electric car is costing you or saving you, to simply look at the miles and divide by your kilowatt hours to come up with some kind of watts per mile. It doesn't work because that doesn't include supercharging. However, Tesla 5 will give you all that information, so you can come up with it. But what we're more interested here and have been showing is how much we actually pay each month on our home energy bill because we drive a Tesla.